Good morning. It is 8 o'clock. If any of you did not get handouts, they're at the back table. Feel free to venture back there and pick them up. We're here to learn today about the 11 ballot initiatives, and there will be Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, say them till the end. My name is Kathy Heavers. I'm one of the 4 forum facilitators, along with Phoebe Benziger at the back of the room, Judy Ann Files, and Barbara Bynum. If you are not on our email, the purpose of forum is simply to inform. We want to keep members of our community up to speed about what's happening. And we send out weekly emails to actually over 600 people now. And if you like the program that's featured in the email, you show up. If you don't like the program, then you don't come. So that's how we keep people informed. Those of you just walking in, there are handouts on the table that you might like to use for today. If you want to sign up for the email, we've got little cards up front that tell you how to do that. You can either scan the QR code if you're up to speed on that technique, or it walks you through how to sign up. We have a number of people presenting today. First will be our Montrose County Clerk and Recorder, Tressa Guynes, and that will be followed by Montrose League of Women Voters representatives, Linda Gann and Nancy Ball. And we really appreciate the fact that League of Women Voters is doing this, so we didn't have to do all that research. We're going to count on them for information. And I believe I read yesterday in the paper that you're doing a couple of others, so you may want to mention that as well. So without further ado, we'll start with Tressa, and then she'll hand the mic off to Linda Gann and Nancy Ball. Feel free to be marking ballots, making notes, whatever you need as they go through this.
Kathy. Tressa Guynes, your county clerk and recorder. The handouts are a sample ballot, which we mail all of the ballots. If you're registered elector, we mail the ballots Monday. You should get them Wednesday, possibly Thursday. If you don't, let us know. But you should be getting them towards the end of next week. The other item for handouts is important dates. It talks about where you can drop off your ballot in our office, where you can vote if you want to vote on the machine, and other important dates regarding that, where the voter service polling centers are. A couple of items that I thought I would hit that are kind of a hot question that I've been getting lately is I want to point out with the measures today, anything that is in all caps, Proposition FF, that is tax related. So if it's all caps, that's Tabor tax related, and that's what that is, and that's why it's all caps as opposed to not. The other item, and this is not measure related, but it's ballot related, is the ballot order of the candidates. I've been getting questions. For example, Mark Catlin, he's the incumbent. Why isn't he first on the ballot? Jared Polis, he's the incumbent. Why isn't he first on the ballot? Some states do that by law. Regardless of the party, regardless of anything, the incumbent is first. Colorado, the law is that major political party is first, and it's by lot drawing. So they throw all the major political party candidates in a hat, they pull them out. That's the ballot order for major political parties, Democratic and Republican. The minor parties, everything else, Unitary, Constitution, all of those are after major political parties, and those are by lot. So it's category by lot, with the exception of president and governor. Those are in alpha order by political party order, major political party, then minor political party. Alpha order, governor, president, everything else is by right. So, that's all I had. Handing over to the League of Women Voters. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Nancy Ball, and I'm delighted to be here this morning.
Nancy.
Oh. Actually, I'm representing the League of Women Voters of the Uncompahgre Valley. We have changed our name since we were last here. Now it includes Montrose, Delta, and Uray counties. And I'm so glad to be here. We thank the forum for joining with the League in an effort to provide you with nonpartisan factual information regarding the statewide ballot issues that you will see on your ballot for the November 8th election. So, since 1936, the League of Women Voters of Colorado has regularly published explanations and pro and con arguments of each of the statewide ballot issues in every statewide election. And you need to understand that the pros and cons that we publish are not written by the League. Rather, they are arguments from the individuals or groups that either support or oppose each issue. We encourage you to study these opinions before you cast your ballot. And of course, further details are in your blue book, which you all should have received by this time. So let's get on with the Colorado law. Now, first thing I'm going to do is remind you how issues get on the ballot. There are two ways that they can be placed on the ballot. One is by referendum, and this is a referral, a proposal by the Colorado legislature that is referred to citizens for a vote. The second way is via an initiative, and this is a proposal by citizens who gather the required number of signatures on petitions. And this year, the number they had to have was 124,632. And that number, if you're wondering, represents 5% of the number of votes cast for the Secretary of State in the most recent general election. Now, issues that get on the ballot can be of two types, amendments or propositions. Is statewide issues appearing on the ballot? Yes, amendments. And there are two ways amendments can come to the ballot. One is it can be referred by a 2/3 vote of both houses of our legislature, or it can be proposed by citizens using the initiative process. And you need to remember that only voters, not the legislature, can change the Colorado Constitution. And amendments to the Constitution need 55% of the votes cast, not a simple majority. The second way is propositions, and there are two ways that amendments to the revised statutes, our state laws, may be referred by a majority vote of both houses of the General Assembly or proposed by the citizens using the initiative. And another thing to remember is that although propositions are approved by voters, amendments to the Colorado statute may be changed by the legislature. And also local issues may be on the ballot. We will have it on our this year. So this year's ballot contains 3 amendments to the Colorado Constitution, all of them referred by the Colorado legislature, and 8 propositions to change the revised statute. 2 are proposed by the legislature, and 8 have come from petitions to revise statutes. Okay, let's get on with what is on the back. I'm going to tell you this one is not confusing, but it has a lot of information, and I could have avoided it, but when I looked at it, I really thought it was interesting, and since this group likes to be educated and learn things, I'm going to go into some detail. Okay, so this referred amendment directs the governor to appoint district judges from the current 18th Judicial District to the new 23rd Judicial District by November 30th, 2024. And it allows appointed judge elected to or retained in the November 2024 election for the 18th Judicial District to finish their terms in the 23rd Judicial District. And it requires that the appointed judges reside in the 23rd Judicial District by January 7th, 2025. I hopefully will be able to explain all that. So, the Colorado Constitution requires judges to be nominated by a judicial nominating commission and then appointed by the governor. After that, judges must periodically go before the voters in retention elections if they wish to serve additional terms. Reassigning judges from one district to another one is not covered by this process. Okay, the Colorado Constitution allows the legislature to revise judicial district boundaries. The 18th Judicial District was drawn more than 50 years ago, and it now has a population of more than 1 million people, which is almost 20% of Colorado's population. So in 2020, the Colorado legislature passed a bill that split the judges in the 18th district to assign, so in 2020, yes, so they split the districts, which was comprised of Arapahoe, Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties, so that the 18th district would only have Arapahoe County, and they created a new district, the 23rd, that would be comprised of Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln counties. Now the thing is, that wasn't going to happen until 2025. So it split the judges that were in the 18th district and assigned, there were 24 of them, and it assigned 17 to Arapahoe, the 18th, and 8 to the new 23rd. Of course, there are only 7, because there were 24, but so there's going to be one extra judge to be elected. Since 2020, the legislation stipulated that judges who live within the new district boundaries will be assigned to the new district. So anybody who was living in Douglas or Elbert or Lincoln will automatically go to the 23rd district. And if passed, this would direct the governor to reassign those judges. Therefore, you'll have a smooth transition, and it would prevent any looming threat of litigation over how judges to that new district should be determined, because they're not going to go through that whole process that you normally have to go to have a district. So any judge serving in the 18th district who lived in the new 23rd district could complete their term in the 23rd district and be eligible for election in the same year as they normally would have been in the 18th. Confusing, isn't it? But this then implements that bill by which they did all this into the Constitution. And it allows the governor to appoint the judges regardless of where they live. And remember, this is a one-time only amendment, and it's to fill the loopholes. And I'm going to say, basically, to shorten all of this, courts are backed up with cases, and they need judges. So rather than having them have to go through that commission and then be appointed, because they've already done that in the 18th district, and that's where they are, and they're just moving to the 23rd. They were doing this so that there won't be any question about the legality of the seating that some people might say is illegal and bring a lawsuit. That is so yes, the others are a lot. Okay, Amendment E would extend the homestead exemption to Gold Star spouses. The major provision is actually this referred amendment would reduce property taxes of the surviving spouses of service members who died in the line of duty or of a veteran who died from service-related disease or injuries by extending the property tax exemption provisions of the Homestead Exemption Act to them. Now currently, homeowners, many of us can relate to this, who are qualifying seniors and qualifying disabled veterans, plus their surviving spouses, receive a property tax exemption by which half of the first $200,000 of the actual value of their owner-occupied primary residence is exempt. And the state reimburses local county governments for revenue loss due to the exemptions. In the Tabor year, refund year, the reimbursement is the first claim on the Tabor refunds. And in a non-Tabor refund year, reimbursements to local governments are made from the state general fund. And I think if I remember, they said there are about 458 people who would, in Colorado, who would qualify for this if it passed. Amendment F changes to charitable gaming organizations. Again, this is a referred proposal from the legislature, and it would amend the Colorado Constitution to allow revisions to charitable gaming activities. The major provisions, it reduces the required period of existence for a charitable organization to obtain a bingo or raffle license from 5 years to 3 years, and it allows the legislature to establish a different requirement in 2025. And it allows, but does not require, a member of a nonprofit charitable organization to receive compensation if they are managing the bingo game, but it can only be minimum wage for now. The background, currently, before a nonprofit can apply for a raffle or a bingo ticket, it has to have been in continuous existence for 5 years. And although currently, nonprofit organizations with these licenses are required to conduct those games only with volunteer members from their organization, and they cannot be paid. So this amendment would allow bingo and raffle workers, again, only volunteers from the organization, to receive payment, but it's capped at the minimum wage through June 30th, 2024, and then that restriction is repealed July 1st, 2024, and then they can be paid what the organization wishes to pay them, if they do. But the proceeds of the game must be directed to the specific purposes of the nonprofit organization conducting the game. And that is the end of the amendments, and Linda Gann is going to do the propositions.
Thanks, Nancy. I'm going to refer to my notes a lot. Normally, I prefer not to, but with ballot initiatives, as Nancy said, we are nonpartisan. I don't want any bias coming through, so I'm going to read from my notes. But I'm here to update you on propositions that will appear on the ballot this year. As a reminder, propositions, if approved by the voters, would change Colorado statutes, not the Colorado Constitution. But a bit of trivia first. I appreciated what our county clerk said about the all capitals. That was new to me. But another thing I learned is that propositions that are named with letters, like this one, Proposition FF, are referred from the legislature, our elected officials in Denver. Propositions that are named with numbers, coming up, are referred to by citizens. So I thought that was another little interesting bit of trivia for voter geeks. Okay. Proposition FF is referred from the legislature, and if passed, this proposition would create a program that provides free, healthy breakfast and lunches for all public school students in Colorado, where participating school food authorities serve and participate in the National School Lunch or Breakfast Program, and would fund the program by increasing taxes on households who earn more than $300,000. Some background on this. At the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, the USDA authorized free meals for all school students. The 2-year federal program was approved by Congress, and they had to renew it to continue. Congress chose not to renew that program, the United States Congress. For this year, school meals are paid for with some state and federal funds, plus payments from parents depending on their family's income. This proposal would create a new Department of Healthy Meals in the Colorado Department of Education, and would provide reimbursements to school fund authorities that choose to participate. It provides eligibility for funding to increase the wages or provide stipends for the food staff. The authority will be eligible for a grant to pay for food purchasing, technical assistance, and education. Each participating authority is required to create a parent and student committee to advise on food purchasing. The measure provides that food for the program should be grown, raised, or processed in Colorado. If passed, every 2 years beginning in 2024, the Colorado Department of Education will submit a report to the state legislature on the school meal program. The independent report will examine the financial performance of the program. So Proposition GG, also referred to from the legislature, to change Colorado's statutes to add a tax table to citizen initiative petitions and to the ballot. A little bit of background. If this measure passes, the title of a ballot initiative changing the income tax rate would include a table showing the resulting dollar change in the income tax rate for 8 different income groups. The impact statement would be in the form of a table showing the current income tax owed in each of the 8 income tax groups, the average income tax paid in each group if the measure passes, and the difference between the average tax owed before and after the rate change. The table would also appear in the initial fiscal impact statement prepared by the nonpartisan Director of Research and Legislative Counsel. Proposition 121 is so now we're back to numbers, right? Did you notice? Oh, paying attention. Okay. Proposition 121 is a citizen initiative that would amend Colorado law to permanently reduce the individual and corporate income tax rates from 4.55% to 4.40%. Current Colorado law imposes a flat rate income tax based on the federal tax tables for all taxpayers, both individual and corporations, regardless of the amount of income. Colorado's flat rate was 5% until 1998. Then in 1999, it was lowered to 4.75%. In 2000, it was lowered again to 4.63%. In 2020, a ballot initiative was passed by Colorado voters to reduce the flat income tax from 4.63% to the current level of 4.55%. This measure, if passed, will reduce the flat rate in 2022 and future years from 4.55 to 4.40%. Collection of state income tax provides the greatest portion of the state's general fund. Spending from the general fund pays for the state government operations such as education, human services, healthcare, and corrections. A decrease in the rate for collection of income taxes from 4.55% to 4.40% may reduce the amount of money available to pay for state government operations. Colorado's constitutional provision, known as TABOR, sets an annual revenue limit for the state, requiring money collected over the limit to be returned to taxpayers. In years when the state collects revenue less than constitutional TABOR revenue limit, this measure will reduce the amount of money available to pay for state government operations. In years when the state collects money above the TABOR limit, this measure will reduce the amount of money returned to taxpayers as a TABOR refund. Proposition 122, if passed by the voters, would legalize the use of certain psychedelic substances for medicinal purposes. The law would allow regulated access to natural psychedelic medicines for adults 21 and older that show promise in treating mental health conditions, and would allow for the use of psychedelic mushrooms at licensed facilities, and would create a regulated therapy system so that adults could access natural psychedelic therapy in licensed healing centers. If approved by the voters, this proposition would develop and promote public education about the use of natural medicines, remove criminal penalties for personal use and possession of natural psychedelic mushrooms for those who are 21 years of age and older, establish a natural medicine advisory board, and prohibit the sale of psychedelic drugs for recreational use. This measure would allow individuals 21 and older to use 5 specific types of psychedelic substances. All of the substances referred to in the measure are currently listed as Schedule 1 controlled substances. A Schedule 1 controlled substance is currently defined as a drug with no accepted value for medical use or which has the potential for abuse. Currently, research is being conducted on the medical benefits of psychedelic mushrooms and other psychedelic substances for treating depression, trauma, addiction, anxiety, and other challenging mental health conditions. The Food and Drug Administration has designated psychedelic mushrooms as a breakthrough therapy for treating depression. If passed, this proposition would be used to speed up the research, development, and review when it appears that it may have significant benefits for existing treatments. 123 is a citizen proposal to change Colorado law that would set aside existing revenue for affordable housing programs. The major provisions would dedicate a portion of revenues, 0.1% from existing income tax revenues for affordable housing programs. It would exempt that money from the state's revenue limits, making a voter-approved change to TABOR spending, and it would establish eligible uses for that money. Colorado has experienced an increase in homeless population and an increase in the cost of housing, both in rental and in for sale homes on the market. This proposal defines affordable housing as that based on This proposal defines affordable housing as that based on income and on housing costs. In general, a renter's income for affordable housing would be at 60% of the median income of the area in which they live. A homeowner would be making 100% of the area's median income. Eligible monies from this program would be dispersed by the Department of Local Affairs and the Economic of Development and International Trade. The measure would designate about 2% of existing income tax revenue to housing. It makes a voter-approved change to the state Tabor spending limit. This proposal does not increase taxes. In Tabor refund years, it would reduce Tabor refund by $300 million or less in 23-24 without affecting other general fund spending. In years without Tabor refunds, money for housing would have to come from the general fund. Currently, the state allows funding to the communities to address housing vouchers for rentals, homelessness. Since 2021, the state has allocated over $1.2 billion from the Federal American Rescue Plan Act for affordable housing and services that address housing insecurity, lack of affordable and workforce housing, or homelessness. These are one-time funds that will be spent over the next several years, specifically on emergency rental assistance, homeowner mortgage, tax credits for developers, and infrastructure and other housing solutions. Proposition 124 is a citizen's proposed change to Colorado law to increase allowable liquor store locations. The major provisions would allow for a gradual increase over time in the number of liquor licenses that can be issued to the owner of a retail liquor store for additional locations, and enable the owner of a retail liquor store to build an unlimited number of retail liquor store to hold an unlimited number of retail liquor store licenses on or after January 1, 2037. As background, under current law, grocery and pharmacy stores that hold a liquor license to sell beer, wine, and spirits can hold 8 licenses. This number increases every 5 years until January 1, 2037, when the liquor licensed grocery or drugstore can hold an unlimited number of licenses. Whereas under current law, retail liquor stores are limited to 3 locations per licensee, with 4 locations allowed beginning in 2027. This proposition would allow retail stores to hold as many licenses as liquor licensed grocery or drugstores. Proposition 125 is a citizen's initiative to change Colorado law to allow the expansion of retail sale of alcoholic beverages. If passed by the voters, this proposition would create a new fermented malt license and wine retail license to allow grocery stores, convenience stores, and other businesses that are licensed to sell beer to also sell wine and to conduct wine tastings. The background: the legislature has made a number of changes to laws regarding the sale of alcohol and of full-strength beer in grocery stores and convenience stores that previously were only allowed to sell 3-2 beer. This proposal, if passed by the voters, would allow grocery and convenience stores to sell wine in addition to beer. Proposition 126 is a citizen's initiative that would allow for third-party delivery of alcoholic beverages. If passed by the voters, this proposition would allow retailers licensed for the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premises or off-premises consumption to deliver alcoholic beverages to its consumers through its own employees, through a qualified independent contractor, or through a third-party delivery service that holds a delivery service permit. And it would allow takeout and delivery of alcohol from bars and restaurants, which it is currently scheduled to be repealed in 2025. Under current law, liquor licensed businesses that deliver alcohol to their customers must use their own employees who are 21 years of age or older. This measure, if passed by the voters, will allow liquor licensed businesses to contract with third-party companies such as grocery and meal delivery services to deliver alcoholic beverages to their customers. And that's all of them this time. I'm gonna let Nancy take back over.
You get my notes. So, if you would like more information on the candidates and ballot issues, you can go to our National League website, and it's vote411.org, and follow the instructions. Okay. The League of Women Voters has studied many policy issues throughout its long history. And based on these studies, we have a position book. The League both educates and advocates. Today we're educating. But we have taken stances on some of these issues. And if you're interested, we may or may not have positions. If you would like to learn more about the stances the League is taking on any of these issues, you can go to our website, which is www.lwdcolorado.org. Click on legislative action and then click on where the League stands. Also, I did print out that, I only made one copy, but it's over on the table if you'd like to take a look. And Tressa explained this, but your vote counts, really counts. And the voter service polling centers, ballots will be mailed next week, starting on Monday, and it will go through the 21st. Ballots must be received back at the elections office by 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 8th. And a few little notes. Voters may register up to and including Election Day. The voter service and polling centers will be available in every county in our state. And voter service and polling centers will accommodate all voting needs, such as registering you to vote, making a change of address, using it as a mail ballot drop site, and voting by machine if you prefer. Of course, you have to turn in your unmarked ballot before you can do that. The Montrose County VSPC will open on October 24th at the old Montrose County Courthouse. There's also going to be a VSPC center at the event center, but that's only going to be open on Election Day, and that will be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Oops. So this concludes our presentation of the issues on the statewide ballot. Thank you for inviting the League today. And by the way, you might be interested in joining the League, speak to me, and I've also put a couple of applications over on the table by the door. So again, your vote counts, every vote counts, and please vote the whole ballot.
Thanks, Nancy. So that's what is on the ballot, but we also have I need to, there we go. We also have, the League is sponsoring a couple of forums of candidates, and these are really important. As a matter of fact, tonight, from 6 to 7, the League of Women Voters is sponsoring the Colorado District 3 Congressional Candidates Virtual Forum. You can Zoom it at that location. It will be on the League of Women Voters Facebook page as live. or the recording of the whole debate or the whole forum will be available on October 12th at the League of Women Voters website, and so we'll have links to that. But would encourage you that are interested in the candidates, we have that opportunity for you to learn more directly from them. We also are sponsoring a candidate forum between incumbent Mark Catlin and the Democratic opponent Kevin Coons. This will be live streamed on the City of Montrose website. You can send questions ahead of time to that location, Zoom at league or lwv-ub.org by 5 p.m. on October 26th, and those questions will be presented to the candidates. And then the recording of this debate of forums will be available on the city's YouTube channel. So there are ways to find out about the candidates.
Linda, that one will also be in person in the city council chambers.
Great, thank you. I don't know if you all heard that. This forum will also be, you can also attend in person, the city council chambers upstairs. Is that what we?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay. Okay. And we are not done. You can come and hear this all again. Just in case it didn't sink in. It's a lot, and it is complicated at times. But we will be doing another community presentation Tuesday the 18th from 1 to 2 at the Montrose Pavilion Senior Center. And then on Wednesday the 19th from 11:30 to 12:30 in the Montrose Library Conference Room. So if you know people that aren't early risers and didn't come to this, they can come to one of these other presentations. And that really does.
You had a hand raised over there.
Pardon me?
Yeah, we'll get to questions in just a minute.
That does conclude our information for today.
How about a round of applause? That is a lot to wade through for sure. As you know, if you're a forum regular, this is Q&A time. Just raise your hand. We'll circulate the mic. The reason we use the mic is so that as Will Woody is getting all of this down, everybody watching online can hear your questions as well. So, questions? Linda, would you back up by 2, I think? Okay, the send questions to, it's actually the www.zoom is not correct. It should just be Zoom at LWV. So you don't have to do, okay.
The WW, that's just,
Okay.
just the Zoom at League of Women Voters.
Okay.
Yeah, not that many of you probably wrote that down, but hey.
Thank you, though. That's good to know, because questions are important.
Questions?
Hi, this is Stuart. Relating to Proposition 124, I just wondered the facts on, it sounded surprising to me that you said that grocery stores are only allowed 8 licenses as background, and I wondered what about like a huge grocery store chain like Kroger or City Market? Does it really only have 8 locations?
Let me get there. Okay. No. Let me get there. I want to, because that one, we really went through that one a lot. Okay. Under current law, grocery or pharmacy stores that hold a liquor license to sell beer, wine, and spirits can hold 8 licenses now, under current law. This number increases every 5 years until January 1, 2037, when the liquor licensed grocery or drugstore can hold an unlimited number of licenses.
I think the difference is wine. the large ones, they have 8 licenses that they can actually sell wine at their grocery stores. But only, they have many more, but they can only sell the beer. That's a little.
Yeah.
So unlimited beer and 8 wine.
My information says that grocery and pharmacy stores under current law and have a license currently to sell beer, wine, and spirits can hold 8 licenses right now. But it's going to, under current law, every 5 years, that can increase every 5 years until 2037. And then, if this measure passes, after that, the grocery store or drugstore could hold an unlimited number of licenses. So it sounds like the legislature, when they did this, kind of scaled in that. Did that answer your question?
Wine and spirits.
That's what it says. That's what it says.
Now they only have 8 that do
Yeah.
beer, wine, and spirits there. But if this passes, they can sell beer, wine, and spirits at all their locations.
And then the other thing, sort of the whereas, is your question was about grocery and pharmacies, right? Whereas liquor stores, standalone liquor stores, are limited to 3 locations per licensee, with 4 allowed beginning in 2027. So there's a difference in this proposition between a grocery store who has a license to sell liquor and a standalone liquor store.
Other questions? Yeah, it's hard to come up with questions when there are such particular issues, I guess. If there are no more questions, 1, okay.
So can a liquor store then sell bags of potato chips and become a grocery store?
That's a great question.
Anyone else?
So just for 3 different issues, all relating to liquor sales, and you seem to have some background on, where these come from. Are these all coming from, the same proponents or the same beneficiaries, or
They all
or is it
came
just
from,
coincidence that we're getting this many choices on this general topic this year?
they all came from a citizen initiative. So those people with clipboards that are in front of the courthouses or grocery stores. So I don't have any background on the specific organizations that might have sponsored each one, but they are all citizen, they all got that 124,000 signatures.
Anybody else?
For Proposition FF, is that grades K through 12? All grades?
Public schools, yes. Yeah, I will read that again because it's in my notes. There.
And while you're looking, Linda, you
Yes.
mentioned something about Colorado raised products. Would you go back over that part
Yeah.
as well?
My notes say, in answer to your first question, creates a program that provides free, healthy breakfast and lunch to all public school students in Colorado. And that's a really good question, Kathy, and I'm kind of sorry you asked it because my notes are kind of vague. What it says is, this is a quote from our information that we get from the state office. This measure provides, that's the word, provides food for the program, should be grown, raised, or processed in Colorado. It didn't, so that's what I know.
That's pretty limiting.
Yeah.
Any other questions? That gives you a lot to think about. And if you missed any of the handouts, they're on the back table. Next week,